Hey guys and girls, it's Blackjack with 396 Guitars. Today we're doing something a little bit different, but really pretty basic stuff. I've had some requests recently for basic restrings. That's what we're going to do today, so let's get to work. Today's object lesson is, and I'm responding to some requests. We do a lot of different kind of work in this shop. A lot of different work. But every once in a while, someone will ask, and I've been putting it off, and I know some of you will recognize this guitar because this is a project guitar. We're going to do a basic restring on a Fender Stratocaster shaped object. So we all know about that. I have taken the cover off. There's a cover that goes over that. This is set up as a hardtail, and for those of you that don't know, because this is a basic tutorial on how to restring this type of instrument, the trem is disconnected. It is a hardtail. So what we're going to do is walk you through the process of how I do a restring. Now, if you're going to do this at home, I recommend that you do one string at a time. In other words, I know not everybody has this, and if you're adventurous enough to try to restring your own guitar at home, which I recommend, you should learn at least how to do that. Do it one string at a time. I'm going to use this to save time, but you can do it by hand, undo them little by little, or you can get a manual winder. I recommend that you do it on a flat surface like this. You can do it standing up on a guitar stand, but I don't recommend it. It's best if you're laying it out flat. Now, first thing you do is unstring. I'm going to take them all off, but I'm going to show you the first one so you know how to do it one string at a time. All right. So again, whether you're using a power tool, doing it with your fingers, or using one of those hand winders, it's the same process. You loosen the string. Until it comes all the way unwound. Pull the string out of the string peg. Try to make sure that you leave your string hole in the peg oriented all in the same direction. So when you take it off, when you put the new string in there, you want your string hole facing in this direction, if that makes any sense. What do? You cut it off. On this, again, this is a Stratocaster shaped object. They're all the same. The strings come through the back. Not every guitar is like that. I'm going to have future tutorials to show you different types of guitars. Cut it off, poke it through, and take it out the other side. Right? Pretty basic. Pretty basic stuff. If you've never done it, it can be harrowing. I don't even remember the last time I did it, but that's why I want to show you. Take your new string. It's got a ball on one end, and it's completely open on the other end. You're going to have way too much string. But you put it through the same hole that you just took it out of. Put it all the way through. Make sure that it's seated in the saddle, or the bridge, or in this case, it's called a trem block. Make sure you're going across the saddle correctly where it wants to live, right there. Now, you get down here to the business end, right here. The string is going to live right there. That's where all the wraps happen. Measure out just past the next string peg. Okay, the machine head. Call it what you want. The tuner. And put a bend right there. All right, and there's why we have the string hole oriented in this direction. Pass it back through, get the bend all the way through to where it stops there. All right, now again, if you're doing this by hand, you're going to wind it this way. Now, here's the key, the first key. The first wrap, as you're winding that string around there where you bent it, the first wrap wants to go above the string hole, on the top of the string hole, and get a wrap all the way around there. When it comes back around, you want to put every successive wrap, and there it just came around, it's right here. Get that string out of the way, the excess. Every other successive wrap is going to go below the string hole. So the first wrap above the string hole, every successive wrap below it. Now, there's a lot of debate, but you don't need to lock that, tie a knot on it, do any of that. Just get it, the first one above it, every other one below it, and you want them to wrap concentrically down. Why do we want it to go down? It's important. You want that string to break over, and you'll notice how I'm holding it right here. As it wraps and goes over the nut, it will have a break angle that goes down towards the tuner. Now this is very important on Fender style guitars because the headstock and the fretboard and the body of the guitar are they're all in line, all right? And it's important that you have that string break over the nut and go down. That's why it's important that all those successive wraps after the first one above the hole, all the other ones go below the hole, to pull that string down over the nut, the string nut, in its slot, so that it has a slight angle. And you can see that right there. Right there. As it comes over the nut and goes towards the tuner, it has an angle that bends down. That's important, and you have to be aware of that. Get it up to tension. Don't try to tune it yet, and don't get overzealous and over tune it. You can stretch the string too far. You can even make it come unwound, and you know you're going to tune it later. Just get it to where it's tensioned. Next thing, don't, against all of your, what you want to do is cut it off close. No, cut it off and leave 2 or 3 inches. Bend it down out of the way. If you did something wrong and you have to take the string off, you're going to want a little extra. Once you cut it off really close, you're never going to be able to use that string again. You're never going to be able to get it rewound. And that's in the event that something went wrong and you have to take it off and restring it back into that peg hole. Leave a little extra until you're all done. You follow? You need the extra? Nope. So I'm going to now take them all off. Remember, I said at the beginning, if you're going to do this at home until you're really, really comfortable with setting up your guitar, do them one at a time. If you do them one at a time, you're never going to change the tension on the neck enough for it to require a setup, if you're lucky. Sometimes You may have to. So what I do is take them all off, because normally I'm going to do a setup. Remember, get your string hole lined up so it's oriented in this direction, because when you come across here with the next string, that's where you want it to be, right? So we did the first one, and you know you're going to do these one at a time. Did I say that enough? You're going to do your strings one at a time. Don't do as I do, do as I say. I don't know what kind of strings these are, but they're pretty nasty. I think these are probably the original strings that came on it, and yeah, they're no good. And that's a pretty good rule of thumb. If you buy a brand new guitar, I don't care how expensive it is, they're probably not good strings. Change them. Put a good set of strings on there. You notice I'm taking care to make sure all of the string holes are pointed in the same direction. It just makes it easier. So, just like we did them one at a time, I took them all off. So we did one, same thing, cut them. And remember, this is a Stratocaster shaped object. Not every guitar is going to be like this one, but this is one of the most common guitars ever invented. So I'm starting with this one, and later on we're going to do a Gibson style, an acoustic, and those are the three basic kind of guitars, right? Same thing. Push your strings back through. Be careful, these things are sharp. You're going to get poked, there's no doubt about it. And we'll come out the bottom, back here. And there they are. Right? Now, strings are numbered. Sometimes they actually say E, A, D, G, right? And so forth, B, E. Make sure got them all in there and that they're in order. Don't assume that they're in order. Make sure that when you're looking at them, the highest number is the lowest string and that they successively go down. And yeah, it's happened to me. I just take them in order and put them in, and yeah, I've run into trouble. So be careful of that. Now, on a Stratocaster shaped object, they go through the back over here. Put them in one at a time until they pop through where the saddle is. And you'll notice I'm holding this up on my shoulder, thusly, right? Passing the strings through. Some of them will get caught on the trem block or the back of the guitar. You just keep poking at it until it pops through and comes through the front. You can do this. It's not that hard. Sometimes they go right through and don't get caught. I love it when that happens. I hope you can see. I'm going to adjust my camera. Once you get them all through there. Now remember, you're going to be doing this one at a time until you get really comfortable with it. And comfortable meaning if you knock them all off, you better be prepared to do a setup on your trim. Which in this case, it doesn't matter because it's a hardtail. Get all your strings through, lay your instrument back down. Now they're just kind of dangling over here, right? Right there. So we did the low E. We're moving on to the A. Same exact procedure. The string lives here, and it's going to run over the nut, and it's going to live in this machine, this string peg. Call it what you want. Tuning peg. Go to the next one, just a little past it, and bend the string. There's a little room for error. Error on the side of a little long and a little too short, because it's important that we have at least one, there's going to be one wrap above the hole, and you want to try to get 2 wraps below the hole. That's why you're measuring. Now, different instruments, the string pegs are farther apart, closer together, so that's why I say go to the next one and a little past it. That's your first wrap that went above the hole. Bend your string up, your excess, get it up out of the way. Don't let it keep wrapping around there, it'll just get in your way. And every other wrap below the string hole. And every once in a while, check your work. Make sure that the string didn't pop up and get on the loop above it. You want them to ride down successively under the neck, the one before it. And once you get tension on it, that's it, you're done. Cut it off, leave about 2 or 3 inches, bend it down out of the way so you don't stab yourself. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and do the rest of these pretty quickly. Now, on a Stratocaster, sometimes you'll have a string tree. Make sure that you get your string under the string tree. Sometimes you'll have 1, sometimes you'll have 2, like this one has 2. Same thing. String comes over the saddle, goes across the nut. It's going to live right here. Go to the next tuner, just past it. You see how convenient it is when you have all of your string holes lined up together. Now this one has a string tree, so before you get all the way tight, get it up to where there's a little tension, and pop it underneath the string tree. Bend it down out of the way, trust me. Remember to bend the excess down out of the way until you're done. You will stab yourself when you get to the B and the E, the high E and the B. And the next string. So we went E, A, D, G. We're on the G string, measure to the B peg, and repeat. Remember, just get it up to tension. We're not trying to tune yet. When you get really good at it and you're really confident, you can go ahead and start snipping them off close. But I recommend do this a couple of times before you do that, because just as sure as God made little green apples, you're going to snip it off close and something went wrong, and you're going to take that off of there, and then when you go to try to put it back on, it's going to be a heartache. Always leave a little excess until you get really, really good at this. And for God's sakes, don't wait 2 years between changing your strings. It needs to be done 2 or 3 times a year minimum, depending on how often you play. I think my powered string winder is running out of juice. Under the string tree, in the nut slot. Yep, it just died. Alright, so once in a while, check your work. Make sure your wraps are running down the string peg and not overlapping each other. Neatness counts. Just get tension, cut it off, bend it down out of the way. See, and I was trying really hard not to stab myself, and I sure did. So, yeah, my little machine is croaking on me. I'm going to charge that up in a week or so. So, yeah, that doesn't surprise me. Same thing. Go over the saddle. Pull up on your string. Go over the saddle. Go over the nut slot. It's going to live here. When you get to the last one, you're just guesstimating. Err on the side of long. Well, this is going to take a while. So I'm going to pause really quickly while I get this last one on here. Actually, these machines seem to be going pretty quick. How long is it going to take? What do you figure? First one above the hole, every other one below it. When you get to these smaller strings, don't assume that they're wrapping normally. Make sure every once in a while you tug up on it a little bit. Once you get it pretty much almost there, get it under the string tree, and that should follow the right trajectory. You follow. That didn't take too long. I get used to using power tools. That's it. We're just getting tension on it. When you get down to the last string, you're not going to have as much excess. So, we just strung this guitar up. Now we're going to tune it. Now remember, we're not using a trem on this. Even though it is a Fender Stratocaster shaped object, I have already checked it out. I know that they have this is a brand new guitar. It came from the factory like this. It's a entry level instrument. You can tell by the name. They have set it up as a hardtail. Hardtail means that the trem system is disconnected, meaning those screws are driven all the way in and it pulls the bridge down to the body. So you can't use that. It's just as if it were just a regular guitar. Okay? Tune up to pitch. E. A D. G, and B. B is in boy. And back to the high E. Oop, something didn't like it. Something just came undone. Did that not, was not pulled all the way up in the saddle? In the trim block? Maybe. We started to put tension on the high E, and it had not pulled all the way up into the trim block. Down here from the back. Okay, go back and retune again. Because once you get through all the strings, it's going to change the tension on the neck and everything's going to go flat. Plus they're brand new strings, which brings us to the next step, which is tune them all back up to pitch again. And then you're going to go through and you're going to stretch them a little bit. Hold at the first fret. And don't lift up on the guitar and don't break the string. Just pull up on it ever so slightly and get it stretched. Strings need to stretch and find their home. Remember, hold with your thumb at the first fret. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And it seems counterintuitive, but you have to do that step. Otherwise, it'll take you 2 weeks to get your instrument tuned up, because the strings will continue to stretch. If you do that one little procedure, it should only take a day or 2. And sometimes they get stable and tune right up. One more time. Yep, they all pretty much stayed in tune that time. That is a basic restring. Now what we're going to do, once you're satisfied that everything is settled, then you can cut off your tangs up here. Okay? Then you can cut off your tangs. And you want to use something that's going to get them really close, because you don't want to run your hand across there while you're tuning or by accident and hit a sharp string sticking up. Be careful when you're doing this. Cut them off as close as you can. Flush cut. Invest in a good set of flush cut side cutters. These things are like razor sharp at the end once you snip them off. And that's it. Once you get them, you should be able to run your hand across there without any sharp ends sticking up. See, still going a little flat. This will go on for a day or so. Actually, they stayed pretty close. Nice and sharp, nice and clever. Now, if you do what I said in the beginning of the video, if you do them one string at a time, you shouldn't have to adjust your neck relief or string height or any of that stuff. If you take all of the strings off and go at it, there's a good possibility you're going to have to adjust your truss rod adjustment, which is your neck relief, and you may have to, in relation to that, you may have to do your string height. This is not about a setup video. This is just how to do a basic restring on a hardtail Stratocaster shaped object. I hope this was helpful to those of you that were asking. It was fun for me. I appreciate your support and all of you that like and subscribe. It's Blackjack with 396 Guitars. We'll talk soon.